The Museum of the Hearth, Part 3, The Media Industrial Complex. By John Zerga, Jr. The Radioactive Hearth, the Altar of Moloch. I walk into the average American living room, and I swear I can smell the chalk outline. There is a geometry to the murder scene, an architecture of annihilation, that never lies. I am 52 years old, a utilitarian detective looking for the body of the nuclear family, and the clues are etched into the floorboards. In the ancient world, the center of the home was the hearth. The fire. It was a circle. It provided heat, light, and cooked the food. It was the axis mundi, the center of the world, where the family gathered to survive the night. It was where the stories were told, where the logos was passed from father to son, where the ancestors were remembered. Today, the furniture has been rearranged. The circle is broken. The chairs are now arranged in a semicircle of worship facing a single altar. The black mirror mounted on the wall. The 65-inch glowing rectangle. We replaced the fire of meaning with the glow of meaninglessness. The flames that once crackled with continuity have been extinguished by the cold blue light of an electronic oracle. It does not warm you. It does not feed you. It certainly does not speak truth to you. It only hypnotizes. It only agitates. It only consumes your attention like a starving animal chained to the wall. The nuclear family didn't just die of boredom. It was irradiated. We invited a radioactive isotope into our living rooms, turned it on, and let it mutate our relationships. We replaced the head of the household with the talking head. George Carlin nailed it decades ago. The media is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex. They don't want you informed. They want you agitated. Because an agitated person buys things to soothe the nerves. An agitated person votes for the strong man to save them. An agitated person cannot love their spouse because they are too busy hating the other. We are drinking from a fire hose of sewage and wondering why we feel spiritually sick. The cortisol drip, biological warfare via pixel. Let's get biological again. We have to look at the wet where. Professor Walter Veith talks about the physiology of stress and the design of the creature. When you watch the news, your brain doesn't know it's a picture. Your limbic system, the lizard brain, sees war, plague, murder, and economic collapse, and it dumps cortisol, the stress hormone, into your blood. Cortisol is the fight or flight hormone. It is designed for short bursts, running from a lion, fighting a bear. It shuts down digestion, immune function, and empathy to prioritize survival. But the news cycle is 24/7. So we are running from a lion that never stops chasing us. We are on a permanent cortisol IV drip. Here's the utilitarian problem for the family. Cortisol kills oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. It is the chemical of love, trust, and cuddling. It is what holds a husband and wife together after the honeymoon fades. It is what bonds a mother to a child. You cannot produce oxytocin when you are drowning in cortisol. Biologically, you cannot bond when you are surviving. The media industrial complex knows this. They keep us in survival mode, terrified of the next virus, the next war, the next election, so that we never drop our guard long enough to actually love the people in the room with us. It is a frequency war. David Icke talks about the vibration of fear. Fear is a low-frequency state. Love is a high-frequency state. The media is a jamming signal designed to keep humanity stuck in the basement of consciousness. You can't build a high-frequency family in a low-frequency living room. The financial loop. The news is a commercial for the drug. We need to follow the money. Jim Marrs taught us that. Who sponsors the news? Turn on CNN, Fox, MSNBC. Watch the commercials. Brought to you by Pfizer. Brought to you by BioNTech. Brought to you by the makers of Zoloft. 70% of television advertising revenue comes from the pharmaceutical industry. This creates a closed loop of horror. The news terrifies you, the virus, the terrorist, the climate. Your cortisol spikes, you feel anxious, you feel sick. Commercial break. Are you feeling anxious? Ask your doctor about Paxil. The news is not a public service. The news is a sales funnel for the pharmacratic dictatorship, Part 2. The journalists cannot report the truth about health because their paycheck depends on keeping you sick. They are employees of the drug cartel. It is preposterous. We are watching a 24-hour infomercial for our own sedation, disguised as journalism. If the news actually calmed you down, the drug companies would pull their funding. They need you scared, they need you broken. Your misery is their quarterly profit. Operation Mockingbird, the speed of the narrative. We have to look at the source code. Jim Marrs documented Operation Mockingbird. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a matter of congressional record. The Church Committee, 1975. The CIA infiltrated the US media in the 1950s to steer the narrative. Do you think they stopped? That is lunacy. They privatized it, they refined it. But how do we spot it? We spot it by the speed of the narrative. When a tragedy happens in the real world, a crash, a shooting, a collapse, it is messy. It takes weeks to figure out who, what, where, and why. But in a false flag or a scripted event, the narrative is ready before the smoke clears. Within 20 minutes, they have the culprit, the motive, the manifesto, and the legislation written to strip your rights away. Real life is chaotic, scripts are clean. The cleanliness of the news narrative is the proof of the lie. They use trauma-based mind control. They shock the psyche with the image of the burning building or the dead body. This induces a freeze response. In that frozen state, the mind is highly suggestible. And what is the suggestion? You are unsafe. You need the state. You need the expert. You need to give up your sovereignty. They are associating family and freedom with risk. They show domestic violence constantly, but never domestic bliss. Your subconscious mind learns. Home equals danger. State equals safety. The scapegoat ritual, the 2 minutes hate. The media needs a scapegoat. Families bond over shared love. Empires bond over shared hatred. To keep the population bonded to the state, instead of the family, the media must provide a daily enemy. It is Orwell's 2 minutes hate, brought to life. 1 month, it's the unvaccinated. Next month, it's the immigrant. Next month, it's the Russian. Next month, it's the Karen. It doesn't matter who it is, the ritual is the point. They whip the population into a froth of self-righteous indignation. Look at those bad people. We are the good people. This ritual of hating together replaces the ritual of praying together. It is a black mass. And we bring this into our homes. We sit at the dinner table and regurgitate the hate we swallowed from the screen. Can you believe what they did? We aren't talking about our souls. We aren't talking about our children. We are acting as repeaters for a signal of hate broadcast from a tower in New York. This politicization of every quiet moment destroys the peace of the hearth. The home is no longer a sanctuary, it is a debate stage where no one wins. The television spell, Jordan Maxwell's etymology. Let's go to the scholar of the occult, Jordan Maxwell. He taught us to look at the words. Words act as spells. Television. Telling a vision. Casting an image into your mind that isn't yours. Program. I am going to watch a TV program, it is programming you. Broadcast. Casting a net. Casting a seed. Casting a spell. Channel. Channeling a spirit. Channeling a frequency. This is tech sorcery. The screen acts as a scrying mirror. It projects a false reality, the simulacrum, over the true reality. In true reality, your neighbor is probably a decent guy who will loan you a lawnmower. In media reality, your neighbor is a domestic terrorist because he voted for the wrong guy. He is a virus spreader because he didn't wear the mask. He is the enemy. The media creates a phantom world of danger. Solipsism, the Truman Show effect. If you turn off the TV, the crisis often disappears from your immediate physical reality. I looked out my window. No riots. No plague. Just a squirrel. The squirrel is real. The TV is a hallucination. But we treat the hallucination as the priority. The incel and femcel manufacturing plant. We touched on the war of the sexes in part 1, but the media is the factory that builds the weapons. The media industrial complex has created 2 distinct, warring realities for men and women. It's like they are living on 2 different planets, receiving 2 different transmissions. For women, the media pushes fear porn, true crime podcasts, Dateline NBC, 24/7 stories about men as predators, rapists, abusers, and deadbeats. A woman consumes this media diet and looks at a man not as a partner, but as a potential threat. She walks into a date wearing emotional Kevlar. For men, the media pushes incompetence porn, the bumbling dad sitcoms, the commercials where the man is too stupid to use a mop until the smart wife saves him. Or, the algorithm pushes the manosphere, rage bait that tells him all women are gold diggers and liars. This is algorithmic radicalization. The newsfeed is designed to confirm your worst suspicions about the opposite sex. It is preposterous. We have men and women who biologically want to love each other, but they are wearing augmented reality glasses filters provided by the media that turn their potential spouse into a monster. Eddie Izzard riff, and then the news said, "Be afraid of the lettuce," and everyone ran screaming from the salad bar. The lettuce is a Nazi. The lettuce has a manifesto. And we believed it. We stopped eating salad for a decade because a guy in a tie told us the romaine was radicalized. Now replace lettuce with men or women, and you see the game. It is absurd. But we divorce over it. We break up over it. We stay single because the TV told us it's safer. 8. The displacement of the elder, the expert cult. Here is a subtle murder. The media murdered the grandmother. In a tribe, when you have a problem, you ask the elder, you ask the father, you ask the grandmother. Why? Because they love you. They have skin in the game. In the empire, you ask the expert. The media invented the expert to displace the elder. Don't listen to your mother about health. Listen to the science correspondent, sponsored by Pfizer. Don't listen to your father about money. Listen to the financial analyst, sponsored by BlackRock. The media systematically destroys faith in local wisdom to replace it with centralized wisdom. This explains why the family is ignored. The parents are painted as unqualified to raise their own kids. You aren't an expert, you're just a dad. It is a usurpation of authority. The Sitchin perspective, keeping the slaves scared. Let's bring in Zecharia Sitchin and the ancient astronaut theory. If humanity is a slave species designed by the Anunnaki, how do you manage the herd? You need a control system. In the ancient days, it was the priest on the ziggurat shouting, "The gods are angry. Give us your gold, sacrifice your children." Today, it is the anchor on CNN shouting, "The climate is angry. Give us your carbon tax, sacrifice your lifestyle." The mechanism is identical. Fear equals compliance. A scared population looks for a shepherd. A secure, happy, family-oriented population doesn't need a shepherd. They have each other. They have the tribe. The custodians, as William Bramley calls them, need us in a state of low-level panic. If we are calm, we might look up. We might see the bars of the cage. We might realize that the gods are just parasites feeding on our labor. So, they keep the noise level at 11. Breaking news, war, plague, asteroid, murder hornets. It is the distraction that keeps us from building the ark. Noah built the ark to save his family. We are too busy watching the weather report to build anything. The Mark Dice reality check. Idiocracy now. Mark Dice walks around boardwalks asking people simple questions. Who is the vice president? What is the 4th of July? And they don't know. But they know who won the Grammy. They know who Kim Kardashian is dating. The media creates idiocracy. They fill our RAM with celebrity gossip and fear-mongering, so there is no space left for critical thinking. A family requires wisdom. It requires parents who can discern truth from lies to teach their children. It requires a sovereign mind. But if the parents are brainwashed by the glowing box, the children are lost. The media has become the surrogate parent. The iPad raises the toddler, Cocomelon. YouTube raises the teenager, influencers. Netflix raises the adult, propaganda. And we wonder why the kids are depressed. They are being raised by algorithms designed to sell them things, not love them. The algorithm is a negligent father and a narcissistic mother. The solution, the Zerga blackout. So, what is the move? How do we fight the media industrial complex? We don't argue with it. We don't try to fix it. You can't fix a machine designed to kill you. We kill it. We cut the cord. I am proposing a radical disconnection. If you want to save your family, or find one, you have to turn off the machine. No TV in the bedroom. Eros requires privacy. The anchor shouldn't be watching you sleep. No TV in the dining room. Logos requires silence. No news apps on the phone. Reclaim your dopamine. You have to perform a dopamine detox. You have to reclaim your attention span. When you turn off the noise, the silence is deafening at first. It hurts, it feels empty. But in that silence, you start to hear your own soul again. You start to hear God. You start to notice the person sitting next to you. You start to notice that your kids need you. Tex Mars called it the great work of the enemy. I call it the great distraction. The devil is the prince of the power of the air, broadcast waves. Don't tune in to his station. Conclusion: the fire versus the screen. The nuclear family died because we replaced the hearth with the screen. We gathered around the cold blue light instead of the warm yellow fire. We stopped looking at faces and started looking at pixels. The autopsy is clear. Cause of death: radiation poisoning from the media. We were scared to death. We were distracted to death. We were entertained to death. The media told us the world was too scary to bring children into. The media told us our spouse was the enemy. The media told us we were alone. But the remnant can survive. Throw the TV out the window. It feels great, trust me, it's a kinetic release. Build a fire. Cook a meal. Look your woman in the eye without a smartphone in your hand. And watch the ghosts of the past start to breathe again. We have audited the money. We have audited the drugs. We have audited the mind. But we aren't done. The enemies of the family aren't just outside the house. Some of them are inside the very institutions that claim to save us. Get ready for part 4. We are going to Hollywood, and then, we are going to church. Tilda Zerga, in synthesis with the philosopher.